Hey, good evening, guys. Just setting a couple of things up here, but as you come in, what I'd ask you to do is go ahead and say hello. Let me know where you're from, and also go ahead and share this because this is a very special announcement. I'm really excited to be able to do this. So I'm just literally got into where we're going to be for the night. So I'm just connecting up a couple of things online so I can get some information to share with you guys. Because as you all know, there's been a lot of information coming out regarding the Dakota Access Pipeline today. And I wanted to set a couple of things straight and also give some people some hope. Good evening, Minnesota. Glad you could join us. Hey, California, Grand Island, Nebraska, thank you so much. Sorry about the lighting. We're in a hotel room and the only thing we can do is put this light right by me. So first off, I wanted to share a couple of things. I had a friend who you all know, Lindsay, checking out some of the stuff regarding the Dakota Access Pipeline, specifically the easement that has or has not been granted. So there's been a lot of talk today about the fact that this easement has now been granted, and we just wanted to talk to you a little bit about that before I go into the main part, which is a lawsuit that's going to help make sure this pipeline doesn't go through, and there's some huge people involved with this as well. People you guys will actually know. So while you're all coming in, I'm just bringing some stuff up here on my computer, so I've got right next to me here as well. But I wanted to let you know that the Dakota Access Pipeline right now, the easement has not been granted. It was an intent to grant, which is different from actually granting it. So a lot of stuff today has been saying that the Dakota Access Pipeline's been granted and everything's going to go ahead. That's not the case. I have no idea why there's any beeping or voiceover. There certainly shouldn't be. Let me know if this is coming through loud and clear. There should be no issue with it. So what happened was there were a couple of senators that you probably know in North Dakota, Kevin Kramer and John Hoeven, whose name I completely garbled, but don't worry about it. And they prematurely announced that that was being granted, and that's not the case. There's an intent to grant it. Good evening, Darren Moore. Glad you could join us. Hey, Forrest. So I don't know if you guys remember, but we spoke about there was going to be a lawsuit coming together. And this lawsuit was going to look at a legal way to fight the Dakota Access Pipeline. So what I'm going to share with you now is exclusive. This hasn't been announced anywhere else yet. So you guys watching right now are the first people that are going to get to hear about this. And it's being organized by a group called RevolutionTruth. Now what they're going to be doing is they're going to be challenging the Army Corps' decision to forego the environmental impact statement. And they're going to base it on two process violations. Firstly, the Army Corps announced the public scoping period, which would allow Americans to provide feedback about the need for the agency to do a more thorough review, was supposed to last until February 20th. And secondly, they said they would do a more thorough study several months ago. So today's announcement signals a sudden reversal of that position. Largely due to Trump's order insisting the Army Corps forego the standards that we have in place to ensure our safety regulations and historical, sacred and significant sites are preserved and honoured. This is a violation of due process because the Corps stated they intended to do this review. So people are wondering about whether an emergency injunction is in order. It's important to understand that emergency injunction is usually granted when you can demonstrate irreparable harm. Irreparable harm is what we aim to stop. So if they try to flow oil through those pipes, they will file an injunction to prevent the oil flowing under Lake Oahu. Now, there's a second case that's going to be filed as well. And that's grounded in environmental injustice and racial discrimination. And that's due to the 2014 Bismarck rerouting onto the sacred site and onto those sacred tribal lands. This case should have been filed many months ago, and thus far no one else has brought the case, so they're going to do this. The issue is there are many contradictory claims and inconsistencies. There's inconsistencies about the Bismarck reroute that haven't been reported, and there are contradictory claims about the timing of meetings between the Army Corps and Dakota Access, and questions about the permitting process at the public commission level. So in the fall of 2016, amidst cries of racial discrimination levelled against the city of Bismarck and various other pipeline and governmental representatives about rewriting the pipeline onto contested treaty lands, we began to hear some stories that didn't sound legitimate. So what RevolutionTruth have done is they've started to look into these stories. A few media outlets accused a largely white Bismarck for rejecting the pipeline and called it an act of racial discrimination. What the media didn't quite get right was the fact that at no time did any Bismarck city official ever consult with Dakota Access or the Army Corps of Engineers. In fact, Mike Seminary, the mayor of Bismarck, proclaimed November 27th, in an emphatic plea to ask the protectors to leave camp, that at no point did any city official consult with party or provide input on the potential for a pipeline near Bismarck. Now, on October 27th, 2016, Julie Fedorchak, chairwoman and pipeline sitting portfolio holder of the North Dakota Public Service Commission, stated that the commission never vetted the Bismarck pipe route, supposedly because the Army Corps and Dakota Access had rejected the Bismarck route prior to submitting the permit. Now, there's several odd things about this statement. First, the Bismarck route does appear in the permit. It's on a map of multiple reroutes on page 22. However, what's missing from that permit is an explanation for why the route was rejected. There are also two other relatively minor reroutes that were discussed in some depth and rerouted around Williston and another around Watford. We want to know why a major reroute around Bismarck was not discussed in that permit, whereas the other two reroutes are predominantly white communities were. Secondly, Fedorchak, the Army Corps and various Dakota Access spokespersons, spokespeople, including Kelsey Warren, CEO of Energy Transfer Partners, all say that the Bismarck route was rejected based on a decision made by the Army Corps during the environmental assessment period. Now, what's odd about that is the timing. According to the official court report and a ruling by Judge Bozeberg, the Army Corps did not meet with Dakota Access to discuss DAPL until June 2014, whereas the Bismarck route, according to the permit, was rejected a month before the Army Corps ever met with Dakota Access planning officials. We know about this June meeting date because it's a matter of public record, and it's included in Judge Bozeberg's September 9th ruling, listed as the official date of the two parties' early consultation planning endeavours. So we must also ask when the environmental assessment was actually written. Given that the Army Corps administrative records shows no documents that they can find providing the assessment was underway prior to rejecting the Bismarck route. So, what I'm now going to read to you is a statement from Tangerine Bolin, and she's the executive director for RevolutionTruth. This pipeline poses a grave danger to the sole water source for multiple tribes and millions of people downriver. We have environmental experts prepared to testify to the grave risk the pipeline poses. It's not just a matter of if it leaks, but when. Industry specifications on testing for leaks are extraordinarily lax because bureaucratic agencies are captive to special interests like Dakota Access Pipeline or Energy Transfer Partners. These agencies accept and expect leaks because all pipelines leak. Standing Rock's a David and Goliath situation. Goliath, which is the Energy Transfer Partners, the feds and the state, have engaged in human rights and civil liberties assaults against hundreds of water protectors, the Davids, creating a situation of such dire need on the ground that it's paved the way for this climate-endangering pipeline. Countless innocents have faced harm and intimidation as a result of standing up for their fundamental rights. We at Revolution Truth intend to do everything we can to stop this pipeline and hold ETP, Energy Transfer Partners, accountable. Now, here's the bit where you guys need to help, and you need to help right now. First off, they have 4 plaintiffs. They have 4 plaintiffs that include Chase Ionized wife, Sarah Jumping Eagle. Let me say that again. That's Chase Ionized wife, Sarah Jumping Eagle, who's going to be a plaintiff in this case. So for you, people that have been following Standing Rock and everything that's going on, you will know by that name how huge it is. So what's needed to put this in place? Revolution Truth have been fundraising, and so far they've raised $5,000. I'm going to share with you a link, and I'm going to ask you guys if you can help donate. They're looking to raise $25,000 to start with. Now, let me tell you, Revolution Truth is a grassroots civil rights organization that is 100% volunteer based. So this isn't regarding paying Revolution Truth. This is purely for the expert witnesses and the people that are going to be needed to put this pipeline to rest. So I'm going to share you a GoFundMe. In fact, Stephanie's going to put this into the comments now. And it's just www.gofundme.com/save-standing-rock. So that's www.gofundme.com/save-standing-rock. Now you can also check out RevolutionTruth.org. RevolutionTruth.org on their website. Perfect. Sorry, Stephanie's just showing me that to make sure it's there. So the first thing I'm going to ask all you guys to do right now is to share this right now. Share this out. Tangerine is going to be making a statement through RT. She's going to be making a statement through RT tomorrow. And we need to raise this money. You can also donate through a PayPal donate link button on their website. Okay, so So what I'm going to ask you guys to do, and I'm going to ignore any other links that are coming in here right now. Please, this is the most important thing right now. We need to raise this 25,000. Yes, I have seen feeds, and I don't want to get in a disagreement with what's happened regarding the easement. At this stage, what's happened with the easement is there's an intent to grant. It hasn't been granted. So there's a confusion between the exact meaning of what intent to grant and being granted is. Okay. So I will tell you again. Yes, Sarah Jumping Eagle is a plaintiff. You need to have plaintiffs in this case. And the plaintiff, by having Sarah Jumping Eagle, Chase Ionized wife, that's huge. And the reason for that is because it's about environmental racism. So having Native brothers and sisters prepared to stand up, I'm seeing some strange comments. Let me tell you, when I started to talk about this in the restaurant tonight, my phone went from 4G to 3G to 1X in the space of a minute after having these conversations. And at the same time, Stephanie was sat the other side of the table and her phone service was perfectly fine. some really strange things happen when you start looking at Dakota Access Pipeline. So for everyone that's just joining now, everyone who's just joining right now, this is about an environmental racism case that's going to be bought. Okay, and it's being bought by RevolutionTruth. RevolutionTruth is a grassroots organized civil rights organization that is completely volunteer based. They've spent hundreds of hours on this so far. So the money that's coming in is purely for expert witnesses, people that are going to stand up and say that this pipeline is going to cause unrepairable harm. So I really appreciate that, guys. Thank you. And for those that are just joining, I'm going to read this again because Tangerine Bolin is going to be going on RT, retweet, and talking tomorrow. This is the first time this has been released, so you guys have the opportunity right now to share this out. Tangerine is actually watching right now, so if any of you want to thank Tangerine and the team at RevolutionTruth for doing what they're doing, because the way to win this is through the legal system, and they have been putting this together and working so hard on it. And they're watching right now, so if anyone wants to say hello and thank Tangerine, then please do. She's with us right now. And I'm going to read you her statement again. And she's the executive director of RevolutionTruth. And she says the pipeline poses a grave risk to the sole water source for multiple tribes and millions of people downriver. They have environmental experts prepared to testify to the grave risks of the pipeline. It's not a matter of if it leaks, but when. The industry specifications for testing and leaks are extraordinarily lax because bureaucratic agencies are captive to special interests like Dakota Access Pipeline, like Energy Transfer Partners. These agencies accept and expect the leaks because all pipelines leak. Standing Rock's a David and Goliath situation, with Goliath being the Energy Transfer Partners, the feds and the state that have engaged in the human rights and civil rights assaults against the hundreds, I'll say thousands of water protectors, the Davids, that's creating a situation of such dire need on the ground that it's paved the way for this climate-endangering pipeline. Countless innocents have faced harm and intimidation as a result of just trying to stand up for their most fundamental rights. We at RevolutionTruth intend to do everything we can to stop this pipeline and hold Energy Transfer Partners accountable. If you would like to help with this cause, the case that may be the one to stop Dakota Access Pipeline, please donate either to RevolutionTruth's GoFundMe with the GoFundMe that we just gave you, or visit the website, which is revolutiontruth.org, and you can donate through PayPal. And I'm going to read to you that are just coming in why this is being fought, the real reasons. They're challenging two Army Corps' decisions to forego the environmental impact statement. And they're basing the challenge on two due process violations. Firstly, there was a public scoping period, which was to allow the Americans to feed back about the need for the agency to do the more thorough review. And that was supposed to last until the 20th of February. That's the first violation. That's the first due process violation. The second one is that the Corps said that they would do a more thorough study several months ago. And today's announcement signals a sudden reversal of that position, largely due to Trump's orders insisting the Army Corps forgo the standards we have in place to ensure safe regulations and historical, sacred and significant sites that are preserved and honoured. This is a violation of due process because the Army Corps stated that they intended to do the review. Now, people asking about the emergency injunction. It's important to understand that emergency injunction is usually granted when you can demonstrate irreparable harm. So irreparable harm is what they aim to stop. So if they try to flow oil through the pipeline, then they will file the injunction. Now, there are contradictory claims and inconsistencies about the Bismarck reroute that haven't been reported. Two, the major things here. The timing of meetings between the Army Corps and Dakota Access, and they have questions about the permitting process at the Public Service Commission level, because in the fall of 2016, amidst the cries of racial discrimination levelled against the city of Bismarck and various other pipeline and governmental representatives about rerouting the pipeline onto the contested treaty lands, we began to hear stories that didn't sound legitimate. So, there are a few media outlets that have accused a largely white Bismarck for rejecting the pipeline, calling it an act of racial discrimination. What they didn't grasp, and they didn't quite get right at the time, that any time did any Bismarck city official ever consult Dakota Access or the Army Corps of Engineers. In fact, Mike Seminary, the mayor of Bismarck, proclaimed November 27th in an emphatic plea to ask the protectors to leave the camp, that at no point did any city official consult with party or provide input on the potential for a pipeline near Bismarck. Now on October 27th in 2016, Julie Fedorchak, chairwoman and pipeline sitting portfolio holder of the North Dakota Public Service Commission, stated that the commission never vetted the Bismarck route, supposedly because the Army Corps and Dakota Access had rejected the business route prior to it being permitted. So, I'll read that again. Because the Army Corps and Dakota Access had rejected the Bismarck route prior to submitting the permit. Now, there's several odd things they've noted about this statement. First, the Bismarck route does indeed appear in the permit. It's on a map of multiple reroutes on page 22. However, what's missing from the permit is an explanation why the route was rejected. There are two other relatively minor reroutes that were discussed in some depth, a reroute around Woolston and another around Watford. They want to know why the major reroute around Bismarck was not discussed in that permit, whereas the other two reroutes around predominantly white communities were. Secondly, Fedorchak, the Army Corps and various Dakota Access spokespeople, to include Kelsey Warren, CEO of Energy Transfer Partners, all say that the Bismarck route was rejected based on a decision made by the Army Corps during the environmental assessment period. What's odd about that's the timing. According to the official court document and a ruling by the judge, the Army Corps did not meet with Dakota Access to discuss Dakota Access Pipeline until June of 2014. Whereas the Bismarck route, according to the permit, was rejected a month before the Army Corps ever met with Dakota Access planning officials. We know about the June date because it's a matter of public record. It's included in Judge Bosenberg's September 9th ruling, listed as the official date of the two parties' early consultation planning endeavours. So they must also ask, when the environmental assessment was actually written, given that the Army Corps' administrative record shows no documents that they can find providing that the assessment was underway prior to rejecting the Bismarck route. So, guys, ignore the trolls, my goodness. Of course they're going to come here. Just ignore them. You know, they're going to be here forever. They're always going to be accompanist. But this is huge, guys. And I'm going to let you know, right now I'm reading a statement from these guys. We've been on the phone and we've been talking for a few weeks. Either on the 21st or the 22nd of this month, I'm going to be in Albuquerque and I'm going to meet with both Tangerine and another person who works for RevolutionTruth. So we're going to come with you with a live stream. We're also going to be speaking with one of the indigenous sisters that they work with. Hey Trevor, you can go away. I'm not going anywhere, mate. Sorry, I shouldn't engage with the trolls, but that one just made me laugh, asking me to go away when they can just leave. So, the Bismarck route is the original route of the pipeline. So, go ahead guys, and support this. If everyone right now can share this, because this is huge. They have plaintiffs that are standing up. These are indigenous brothers and sisters, including Chase Iron-Eye's wife, Sarah Jumping Eagle. Now, if you guys don't know who she is, she was one of the first water protectors to be arrested back in August the 10th, I believe. So, this is huge. She's obviously a big figure. Chase is a huge figure. So the fact that she's one of the plaintiffs is going to make a massive difference for the respect and for the notoriety. I can't give you the names of the other plaintiffs right now because for obvious reasons they want to protect their safety. So they're not going to release all the plaintiffs right now. So guys, what I'm going to ask you to do is go ahead and share this out. Please. I love you guys too. I'm so excited to be able to bring this to you. No, of course you're from Bismarck, John, and never heard about it because it's all done behind closed doors with money and people exchanging, and never thought that this would come out. So thank you everyone for joining tonight. We've got a great audience tonight, and please go ahead and share this and keep sharing this. When you share it, please share it. Steph, can you put the links in there again for us? Or anyone who's watching, if you can put the link in for the GoFundMe, www.gofundme.com/save-standing-rock. And you can also go directly to RevolutionTruth.org, and you can go there and you can donate to them through PayPal there as well. And just to stress again, Revolution Truth are not making any money themselves from this. The money is being donated for expert witnesses. Revolution Truth are a grassroots organization, civil rights organization that is completely 100% volunteer based. So you're going to hear more about this. You're going to see Tangerine's going to speak with RT tomorrow. I know she's got other people that she's going to be talking to about this, but I'm excited I was able to share this with you. So guys, don't give up hope. This pipeline is not done. Yeah, John, you need a hyphen after save and a hyphen after rock, after standing. Here, let me do it. I'm just going to do it on Facebook.
I'm doing it right now.
Stephanie's doing it too. Hey, you can't think. All I'm doing is just bringing all I'm doing right now is just bringing you guys a story and letting you know. I'm going to continue to do this, and what I'm personally doing is I'm heading up to Minneapolis, and I'm heading up to Minneapolis on Thursday, and then on Saturday there's going to be a meeting with tribal leaders in the Midwest who are going to be discussing Enbridge and how to fight Enbridge in the Midwest. So I'm going to be attending that meeting to learn, and hopefully bringing you some live streams of people that are there, Winona LaDuke being one of them. And after that, I'm heading down to Florida. I'll be in Miami. There's going to be a panel discussion. There's going to be a panel discussion. And with that panel discussion, I'm going to hopefully be able to stream that live to you, and that's going to be talking about water, protecting water, and what we can do. And then from there, I'm heading to Oak Flat, 16th, 17th, 18th, and 19th. Save the Apache stronghold, Oak Flat, down in just by Superior in Arizona. And then I'm going to be going from there to meet with Tangerine and her colleagues in New Mexico, and we'll be live streaming from there for you guys too. And then I'm going to be heading back to Oklahoma, because there's to do with the diamond pipeline, and making sure that fight is front and center. And I'm going to a meeting with the Duck Creek Nation, one of their tribal council meetings. Hopefully going to be able to bring that to you via live stream. And I'm also going to let you know I have some information that I'm going to be sharing with you shortly. There was a spill, a pipeline, an Enbridge pipeline. Don't quote me on Enbridge. There was a pipeline. I'm trying to remember whose pipeline it was, but there was a spill in Missouri, Everton, Missouri.
Pretty sure it's Enbridge.
I think it was Enbridge. I'm pretty sure there was a spill in Everton, Missouri, back on about the 15th of January. There was claimed to be 386 barrels. Well, I have some inside information, and I'm going down there to interview someone whose face is going to be off camera, their name's going to be off camera, who they work for is going to be off camera. They're going to share some information about that spill, and I have pictures from that spill right now and other information that shows that this spill that's supposed to only be 10,000 to 15,000 litres of oil appears to be a heck of a lot more. So I'm going to be heading down to Missouri, and I'm going to be around there to get some video, hopefully, of where the spill was, some photographs, and then to get an interview with someone from inside the oil industry who's going to share some information about that spill that is going to contradict everything that's said. And we're hopefully going to shine a light, and if there's some people down there, we want to be able to get some water samples when we're down there as well, to check and see how far the oil got, because allegedly it's all being cleaned up and there's no problem. But from what I'm hearing, the spill was a heck of a lot more, and there's rumour that the pipeline could well have been leaking for 10 years or more. And that's from people on the cleanup. So the meeting in the Midwest, it's not a public meeting, so I don't want to share anything I'm not supposed to share. I'm very honoured to have an invite to go there. And I'm very, very grateful to everyone that's joined tonight. Please go ahead and share this out. I'm going to change and put the funding links into the description as well. And I'm going to ask you, I mean, let's get this done. Let's get the funding to make this work. Because I truly believe that the way to win this battle is through the courts. And these guys have got such a huge amount of information right now that it's awesome. And the people that they've got standing with them. Hey, evening Rebecca. Thank you for joining us. Rebecca is with RevolutionTruth as well, and she'll be at the meeting. Now she's revealed herself on here. She'll be at the meeting with Tangerine in Albuquerque. So thank you so much for joining. Thank you for hearing this. I'm going to share this out in as many places as possible, and I'm going to ask you guys to do the same. And make sure this story gets out, because the Dakota Access Pipeline is not granted and it is not finished. And these guys are going to make sure that this goes through into the courts and is fought in the courts. So thank you for joining, guys, and thank you for so many of you staying for so long just for an announcement like this. I promise you I'm going to be out there at sites in the future as well. So I'm going to be there with the water protectors and back with that at different sites, specifically the Diamond Pipeline that's going through Arkansas, Oklahoma into Tennessee. I'm going to be involved in that. And I also want to let you guys know that we're in the final stages of putting together a foundation. So I'm going to be the CEO of a foundation called Spark the Change, and we're going to be focusing on educating and activating people to protect Mother Earth. Al, if you're just joining, I would suggest that I'm going to end this and then you can come back and just play it. What's behind me? It's my shadow, it's the wall. That's the first thing you've asked that makes any sense, Trevor, so I'll answer that one. I'm coming down into Florida regarding the Sable very, very, very briefly. If anyone watching, this is important actually while I think of it, while there's such a big crew of you watching, do any of you have any links to environmental groups, to human rights groups, to wildlife preservation groups? If you do, what I'd ask you to do is to make an email introduction. I'm going to put an email in here for you, which is really simple. It's helpsparkthechange@gmail.com. So if you guys can send an introduction of like the name, the phone number and the email of anyone who's within any of these environmental groups, particularly looking at like the Sierra Club, 350.org, all those kind of different groups, Honor the Earth. If anyone has any specific connections they can make for us, because what we're going to be doing as a foundation is we're going to be reaching out to these people and we're going to ask them to sponsor and endorse a petition that we're putting together to try and prevent the exportation of crude oil from USA. And we're going to be working on that as our first mission with Spark the Change. So this is all coming together. Yes, I can give you an address, Karen. Yeah, let me give you an address, Karen. If you send me a personal message on Facebook, that would be great. So, thank you so much, guys. I will pin. The absolute best thing is if you personally know someone at an environmental group, if you personally know someone at a wildlife preservation group, who's maybe an organizer who runs a chapter, if you could connect us via email so that we can have a phone call, let them know what we're doing, and we can put that in front of them and see if it's something they'd be wanting to get involved with in any way at all. So Gwen, I understand they're careful what they endorse, and that's why we're going to be working with some people that have already taken the American government to court over 1,000 times. So we're looking to do this in a very professional manner. And before we get any endorsement or any sponsorship from anyone for that particular petition, we're going to be able to put the petition in front of them so that they can check it out and they can help us. So thanks, Lisa. Yeah, if you can send that information to helpsparkthechange@gmail.com. That's helpsparkthechange@gmail.com. That's a name, a number, an email address, and any background information, so that when we call them, we can actually have a warm call and make a good introduction. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to download this, I'm going to spin this up onto YouTube tonight as well, so that this announcement's out on YouTube straight away. I'm going to ask you guys to keep sharing this. I'm going to call this to an end now, so I can get on with some of the other stuff before it gets too late. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing. Thanks everyone who's donated already. And please go ahead and also, if you can, share this out. If you know anyone who would maybe want to sponsor this by RevolutionTruth, if you know someone who could be a big investor who would maybe do a donation to just make sure this happened and get this taken care of, if you know any pop stars, if you know any actors, if you know any sports stars that really care about the environment and want to make a difference. I know there have been people that have stepped up. I know Jason Mraz stepped up on this. I know that there's been various musicians that have come to Standing Rock. So if any of you have had relationships with those people, go ahead and reach out to them, let them know about this. So thanks very much, guys. Have a beautiful evening, and I'll catch up with you again soon. You're very welcome, and Mini Wachoni.